Hi everyone. We are here with another session, and I must tell you that if you are a crazy animal lover, then this is for you. I hope I'm audible properly. Hello.
Hello,
Hi Sana. How are you?
I am good. How are you?
I'm doing well.
So, so should we start the session or should we meet?
Yeah, sure, sure.
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
Um, yeah. So, hi everyone. I'm Samyati from Girls Buzz, and as you all know, we are a community of women by women, and we constantly keep interacting with women who are on their way to make changes. And today we have with us Sana Saxena from Paws and Puddle, and she is amazing, and she runs this NGO all by herself, and she loves animal like me. I'm a crazy animal lover, and we are here today to know everything about how to take care of animals, even if they are not our pets. So hi Sana, welcome to Girls Buzz.
Hi,
Uh,
that was a nice introduction.
okay. Um, so if I've missed anything, please just tell us something about yourself.
So, like she said, I am Sana. So, I run the initiative called Pause and Puddle.
Yeah,
And so basically, what we do is we feed 120 plus animals every single day. We get them
wow, yeah,
sterilized, we coordinate adoptions, we treat them, we rescue them, we pamper them, we
yeah,
just treat them as a family. So that is
yeah,
what all Paws and Puddle is all about.
right. And that is exactly what animals need from us.
Absolutely.
Yes. So Sana, when was your first time that you knew that you had to do something about animals?
So, I think it was about 2 years, I mean, more than 2 years back. So, me and my dad were just, so we really loved animals from the start
Okay.
itself.
Yeah,
And but we were never the ones who would probably make an effort to feed them every single day or something, because that was never something that we thought about that we could actually do,
right.
because we
Yeah,
all are so busy with our schedules, right? So,
right.
if we could, I mean, if anytime we would go to the market or something, so we some dogs would probably follow us. So we would just buy some Parle-G and give them, because that's something that we could do occasionally. So
Right.
one of our favorite dog was Bolu, and
Okay.
so we would just go like twice a week or something and give them Parle-G. So I think after about 4 5 days gap when we went, it was not there anymore. So we got to know
Okay.
that he died because of tick fever.
Oh,
And so we I mean the other people who were like around us, they also never made that effort. And so we thought that only if we would have gone every single day, only if we would
right.
have checked up on every dog, we would have known
Yes.
that there were symptoms. We would have known that he was in some kind of pain or he needed help.
Yeah, he's in need. Yeah.
Exactly. And probably then we wouldn't have lost him. So that
Right.
thought, just, awoke that in us. So that is when we thought of doing something every single day, being, committed to it. And that is how we started Pause and Paddle.
Oh, really nice. And as you have mentioned that, like apart from busy schedule, you are managing the NGO itself. So, like, how do you manage both the things at a time?
So, I mean, this NGO is part of my schedule. It's like in my blood now. So I think it has
Yeah.
just become part of my routine. So it's like, I was never a person who would get up early, and I was never a morning person. But this just made me a morning person. So like my grandmother wakes up around 4:30. She makes the food. I get up around five
Okay.
o'clock, and whenever the food is ready, I, along with my mother, and there are two more people who help us. we cover the
Okay.
sectors, and so we basically takes us about 2 hours to complete the whole area. So that is how, and then I come back and then I get ready for my office and then I go. So that is how it generally happens. And then in office also, because we have to coordinate a lot of rescues, because there are like so many
Yeah.
of animals that are in need of help. So that is why I
Right.
have my number on my page so that anybody could contact me. So sometimes
True.
why some days are like back to back rescue calls. And
Right.
it is not about coordinating calls, it is not about sending animals to a particular vet or something. It is that is really not tough. It's the mental exhaustion, because whenever
True.
you're
True.
preoccupied with your work, there's always something that you think about, how would that bacha be, how would that dog be. So
Yes.
because you just automatically become a mother. But that is,
Right. Yeah.
in the end, everything is worth it, because when you see them recover and when you see that hope in their eyes, it's all worth it.
Absolutely. And yeah, if you see that they're recovering because of what you did, and that is the kind of motivation you get, and that what drives you to do more for more animals, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I also saw that your grandmother preparing food, and she once visited the stray animals to feed them. That was so touching. Like I should have mentioned this somehow. So I'm like totally moved to see how you people work. You take care, and your profile is completely filled with animals and the stray dogs you're feeding continuously. I'm
I
in
am
love with that.
I am literally called the crazy dog woman all around my locality, because I'm always wearing this loose baggy shirts and
Yeah.
walking around with dogs jumping on me. And sometimes people who don't know, they're like, are you fine? These dogs are following you. I'm like, yeah, I'm absolutely fine. So they, give me that
Yes.
look, okay. But that is completely normal.
Yeah. With time, we have to normalize things, and
Yes,
gradually it will definitely take time, but we are on it.
absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
I hope, I mean, this
So
all of this gets
yes.
normalized.
Yeah. I also hope that. So Sana, how did the idea of opening up the NGO came into picture, and what is the exact mission you are working on?
So basically, like I told you about Bolu, so that is
Yeah,
when, because when that dog died, that is when we thought of starting the whole initiative. So it
yeah,
started with about 10 to 11 dogs, and like we got the dry food, like the dry kibble, and like me, my dad, and everyone was like calculating that probably this much food is for one dog, how much it would take, because when there's a
right,
smaller number, you can calculate it. But
right, yeah,
once you go for feeding, you see dogs coming from everywhere and you can't
true,
calculate it.
yes,
And seeing them with those, that poor little eyes and the wag in their tail, you can't really say no. And there's no need of
yes,
you saying no. So that is when we thought, let's just take more food and let's see how, like, how much capacity we can firstly take, and then how much food we can give to the dogs and how many we can feed, considering everything. So touchwood, my family has always been like really supporting, even though my mother was so scared of animals, especially dogs. But if she would be walking on the road, and if she would see a dog coming her way, she would literally take a U-turn. That was my mother.
okay,
But
yeah,
seeing my dad, and then we also had a dog in, I mean, we have a dog in our house. So when he came, everything just got like very that probably dogs are not that,
easy, yeah,
yeah, dogs are not that scary. My mom's first thought was that. So gradually everything started coming together, and she also started accompanying us in the feeding drives and everything. And gradually the
yeah,
number increased, covering one sector, then two sectors, and then we knew that we probably can't do it all alone. So we have now two helpers as well that help us in feeding. So that is how our tiny initiative started. It's been 2 years now, more than two
oh, that's
years.
great, yeah. Sana, would you like to tell us, like, how does a typical day in your NGO look like?
Good question. um, so it's like I mean, so the first half, it's that is pretty easy, where I get to
Yeah,
feed, because that is when I get up and I'm very excited that I'll be seeing my dogs. and I know they would be waiting because somehow they
Yeah.
get to know the idea of the whole time. And so
Yes.
whenever I go, they'll be wagging their tails. They'll be coming off, I mean, out from underneath the cars and from other
Yes.
places. So that
Yes.
is how my before the office looks like, feeding and getting all paw prints on my t-shirts and everything.
Yeah.
And after I come home, so in my office, like I said, I have to coordinate a lot of rescues. Sometimes I get like back to back calls, and some days are like just one rescue call or two. And sometimes then there are a lot of people who just call to tell me about the particular dog. But since I can't be everywhere, God has given me one
Yeah.
body, I can't be everywhere.
Right. Right.
So
Yeah.
I ask them to be at the reporting place where the dog is, so that when the ambulance comes, you can be the person who has reported the dog and everything.
Yeah.
So people like we can't wait for half an hour or something. And that is just pretty sad, because I get very happy when people take up the initiative of calling me,
Yes.
of thinking that the dog needs help, but can't be there for the dog. I mean, it's just sad
Yeah.
because I'm like, we'll be taking care of the whole thing financially and, otherwise as well. But people just can't be there. So sometimes just like a lot where I have to convince people more than taking care of the dog. My energy goes in convincing people. So I think that is the tougher part. And when I come home, so then there's some dogs which are in need of medicine because they need medicines twice a day or something. So we make separate food for them because they won't eat medicine as it is. So we
Right.
make a separate lot
You have
for
to mix
them,
it.
and then we
Yeah.
mix medicines with it. And then in the
Yes.
evening we give them specific medicines or whatever treatment that they need. And then we just wish them good night and we go to sleep. That is how it
Yeah.
generally goes.
Okay. That's really nice and inspiring too. I hope like people these days they are actually looking while walking or while on their vehicles to these animals who are in need, and I hope like really I hope that we create awareness and sensitize people about their needs, and they should yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree, because I think awareness is like the key thing. Because if you,
Yeah.
the thing is that if people get sensitive enough to understand, to empathize,
Yes.
most of the problem will be solved.
Absolutely. And this thing should come from inside. It's like not
Yes.
that he or she is doing, so I should also do it. It's not a pity thing to do, but it
Exactly.
should be done as a duty. Yeah.
Yeah, because people should see dogs as, they can't really buy food for themselves. They can't do
Yeah.
anything for themselves. So, you are the person that, like, they should think as if God has created you to help yourself
Help
and the
them. Yeah.
creatures and the dogs as well. If people
Yes.
think in that way, if people think from that perspective, I think more sensitivity would be there inside them. So I think that is important.
Yeah. Very true. Sana, so till now, how many animals you have rescued, and like tell us something about your first rescue.
Uh, so I think it'd be around between 100 and 110 animals by now.
Okay.
And so, I mean, there have been, uh, I mean, you're asking for the first rescue story. So I think, so basically, I think it was monsoon season. Yeah, because we started in
Okay.
June,
Yeah.
uh, 2 years back. It was monsoon season, and then so we got to know. So when we were going to feed, there was this old man, who told us that there's a lactating mother, and if you
Okay.
could feed her too. I asked where. So he pointed somewhere towards particular gully or something. Then we went there and we couldn't find her, so we just it took us 10 minutes or something to find her. We
Yeah.
saw four puppies as well. So it was raining heavily, and we saw that the puppies needed a kind of like a shelter. But that was the COVID time, so one thing was great, that there were not many vehicles or something like, or
Yes.
crowded
Yes.
markets, so the puppies were safe. So then what we did was we started feeding the mother as well. And but the puppies were very small, so we couldn't feed them. The puppies obviously taking the mother's milk.
Yeah.
But
Right.
one day, so what happened, there was like this hole type made, and they would probably sit inside it at times.
Okay.
So one day,
Yeah.
then when there was very heavy rainfall, that hole got filled up and they were inside the hole.
What? Yeah. Okay.
So that was the problem. So when, because that is the thought that also came to our mind, so we rushed there, me and my sister at that time, and we couldn't
Yeah.
find the puppies in the hole. We looked everywhere, and so there was this big, kind of like a table, and it
Okay.
had like this much of a tiny space between it.
Yeah.
And then there were stairs also, the kind of iron rod kind of, I don't know what is it called, which has holes in between, like spaces in between. So two
Okay.
puppies were inside it stuck, and then two puppies were inside that table. So we could get
Okay.
the puppies out, but we couldn't get the puppies out from that staircase. So we had to call a lot of people. They had to do some toro tadi or something, and then we could get the puppies out, but they were traumatized. And the
Right.
problem
Yeah.
was that after that, I don't know what happened. The mother, from the other day, the mother had disappeared, and that is
Okay.
something that hardly happens. We didn't know what happened to the mother. It was almost like, what is happening. So we had to take the puppies with us, all four of them, and we had to get them adopted. So we were fostering the puppies, and that was like a first adoption, and we had posted for four puppies straight away. And we had some adoption calls, and we got all of that, and we finally got them adopted. It took us a month, because the whole procedure is pretty long. One also got
Yeah.
adopted in Meerut, one in Faridabad, two in Delhi itself. And to see all four of them getting adopted. And the best part is, because they all were siblings, so
Yes.
there were two friends who had adopted two dogs, I mean two puppies, and they live side by side. So they get to
Okay.
meet every single day, those puppies. I mean, they are 2 years
This
old
is
now.
very nice. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that was the first rescue story that I'm kind of like really proud of, because when we saw them under those stairs and that hole, if we didn't see them, we wouldn't know what their future might have looked like, if they would have been
Right.
alive or
Yeah.
not. And now seeing them so happy, so cheerful, living their life king size, it's just a whole different world.
Oh, this is nice. And while you explain this, I'm literally having goosebumps. Kudos to you. Like you managed so well.
Thank you so much.
So Sana, if people want to feed or adopt animals, like you mentioned now, what would be your tips you would like to give them?
So, I mean, first of all, one should always adopt rather than shop. And that is because if you shop, so they're breeders who actually literally rape the dogs and make them. So the thing is that a female dog gets, they make them pregnant like so many times per year, which is illegal. They don't even take care of their health conditions, because it is everything related to money. And
Yeah.
when a human life is so commercialized, the whole health, the whole life gets compromised. So that is all
Yeah.
breeding is about. So why to shop when you have so many little angels on the road waiting to be rescued?
Yes.
So it is always something that you should think twice about. And if you would want to adopt, it is always good to go to either shelters and see the dog, by yourself, talk to the people, and who take care of the shelter. Or NGOs or initiatives like us, you could always DM us, message us, call us, because when we rescue animals, we post a lot of adoption appeals. We also share a
Yes.
lot of appeals from other NGOs as well, because we don't know that
Yeah.
one of our follower, one of their follower might just get interested or share it further.
Yes.
So I think something that is very important is sharing every adoption appeal, because we never know who might just come across.
Right.
And if you and then what generally happens is we send out a form and we get to know about the person, and we do kind of like a trial where the person gets to meet the dog, and we see how
Okay.
the whole equation is working out. And then
Yes.
only after a proper house check and everything, we give the puppy or the dog for adoption. So I think the most important tip is that you should, whenever you're going to adopt, you should be very um you know definite about your future, whether you would be staying here only, whether you would be going outside. If you'd be going outside, would you be taking the dog with you?
Yeah.
Things like that. If you're what is your future plan? and we
Right,
always
right.
generally prefer to give a dog for adoption to only family people, because to bachelors it's something that, it's not wrong, but it's something that is not very fixed what their future
Yes.
would be like, if they would be wanting a partner, if they would be here, or if they would be going abroad or to any other place.
Yeah.
So that is something. And you should always baby proof the apartment, basically dog proof the apartment before, getting any
Yeah.
dog at your house. So I think these are some minor things that you should always take care about. But the most important thing is, if you're going to get a dog, if you're going to adopt a dog, just be mentally prepared that this is a full-time commitment. You can't be like you're taking the dog and then going giving it back, because that
Yeah,
actually
yeah, right.
happens a lot. Because people think कि dog है तो वापस कर देंगे, but no, it's
Hmm.
like a human baby, like take care of a human baby. Same is for the dog, because
Yes.
once you take the dog sees you as their family, as their parent. And if you would want to give it back, it'll be heartbreaking and traumatizing for the puppy. And I hope people actually understand that.
Yes, I have even seen that people taking adopting puppies, and then after some days or some years, they just return it or they abandon them, and
And
it's
that is,
really very insensitive.
yeah, yes. I mean,
Yeah.
that is just so sad, because we see extremes where, like you said, where people have their puppy or the dog for months or for years or for even few days, and then they're like, we can't take care of it. And there have been some cases where, because the dog is having some health condition, something, and the people are like, we can't, go to the vet quite often, or we can't make,
Yeah.
often trips to the vet, so we can't, which is so sad. But then there are some
Yes.
people, for example, dogs sometimes, gets lost. But the people make the effort. They would print out different flyers. They would
Yes.
print out so many of the different pages and posters for the dog. They would find the dog, like, they would hunt for him. They would do so many things, make that effort. So we see those two extremes, but I just
Yes.
hope that the other extreme wouldn't have been taking place, where people are abandoned. So yeah,
Yeah.
that is one thing.
So on this note, Sana, like how what would you suggest to sensitize among people about this thing?
So, I mean, basically, awareness is the key. So when, I mean, I as a person also didn't know earlier that, we could adopt, because sometimes, because the whole, like I said, the whole idea of buying a dog is so commercialized that people often don't even know about the option that we can actually adopt a dog. So awareness is the key. I, in my page, also try and aware people. So it's awareness can't be just, adopt and not shop, something like that. But sometimes you actually have to put
Yeah.
in extra effort, where you make videos, where
Hmm.
you make reels or whatever, or you do some kind of different kind of pictures. But the whole message has to be sent out very strongly. So what I try to do is, I try to talk about the bond I have with my dogs. I try to sometimes portray or communicate, what the dog is trying to say through my videos. So that, sometimes people think that, you can't really communicate with with dogs, because, obviously dogs bark or whatever. But if you actually try, you could actually, if you would want to listen, you would hear them, you would
You
understand.
would feel that, yeah.
Absolutely. So if it is all about the effort, so that is all I try to do in through my awareness videos, through the pictures or anything, so that people can just get more sensitized, even through comical videos or anything to make them more sensitive. So I just keep on
Yeah.
trying different things, and I just hope that, people share or people just come across it. So that is all.
Yeah. And Sana, do you have any vets who are associated with your NGO? Because as you mentioned, it must be a worrisome thing. So
Yes,
please tell
yes.
us about that.
So the thing is that it is not that only like a one particular vet, or some, like, two vets, or it's not like something that, this particular vet is in affiliation with our, initiative or something. But it is, so what, I'll just, take it for an example. For example, a
Yeah.
dog in probably Noida, I get a rescue call from Noida. So I would want the dog to be with the vet in Noida itself, because that
Yes.
would be the nearest, and, the most feasible thing as well. So I
Yes.
have some vets in mind for the particular use. For example, probably 2 3 vets in Noida, 1 or 2 vets in Ghaziabad, and then I call them, and I always speak to them first before the dog comes, and obviously prepare them, ask them about the boarding and everything, and then only we get them admitted, because a lot of times there is no boarding space because it is full. So we have to plan everything. So before the dog sits in the ambulance, we have to coordinate it with the vet. So obviously, I mean, the vet or the paravets know us, because we have been doing this from a long time. So it is
Yeah.
easier, and because also we have contacts. I mean, because we build contacts, right? So
Yes.
if there are people, sometimes I get messages where just people just want numbers of vets, so I get to tell them as well, and I feel really happy that I have resources. So why not share it?
Yeah.
I
Absolutely.
have probably, yeah, numbers of ambulances. Why not share them? So all of these things just work out eventually in the end. And sometimes
Yes.
then we have paravets who come sometimes on the spot, on I mean at the location itself, because
Yeah.
sometimes you can't really take the dog with you. So sometimes the
Yes.
parrots come on the spot, like on the field. So yeah, all these things generally happen. So this is why.
Yeah. And Sana, is there any way to increase sensitivity in people towards injured animals, especially?
So the thing is that it is not something like a switch on or switch off button that you tell people that
Yes.
be
It
sensitive, people
takes
be
a lot of
sensitive,
time,
right?
yeah, and effort.
Yeah, but or every time I feel is that if I could communicate, if like communicate what a dog is trying to feel, or what a dog is feeling, or what the dog is trying to say to the people out there, I just hope that it makes them more sensitive. That is it. Because at
Yeah.
times a person is so busy with their schedule, at times the person is so
Yeah.
busy with their lives that they don't have time to think about anybody else, or even animals. So if
Yes.
even if they can stop and just think, or while scrolling Instagram, they could see a video where a person is talking about how the injured animal was, and when he was rescued, how he's now. These transformation wala videos and everything sometimes just inspires you so much, so much, and gives
Yes.
you hope, because a lot of times people are like, lose hope ki, the animal is like that and what can we do.
Hmm.
But sometimes when we see those videos where we actually see the whole 180-degree change, we
Story,
want
yeah.
to make that effort. So
Yeah.
I feel that if people are doing something, they should put it on social media so that people get inspired. Why not use social media for a good cause?
Absolutely right. As we're talking about this, and you also mentioned that we should not encourage people in buying and selling of animals. So,
Yes.
what is your take on that? Like, how to adopt pets, and what exactly is the whole thing,
So, I mean, I think I kind of like mentioned that earlier, that
the process? Yeah.
yeah, so that when you're buying an animal, it's like the whole idea of breeding and everything, raping the animals. It is something that is illegal, and something which is something where the health is compromised, where even a baby is born with a defect, the breeders just throw away. It's like
Yeah.
they discard it as a defective piece, which is just
Yes.
very insensitive. So why to encourage that cycle? Because if we buy, we are encouraging them. They are quoting the price and we are ready to buy. If the whole demand supply
Yes.
stops, everything stops. And there's
Yeah.
so many
Even
people
people are ready to negotiate on that. It's
absolutely. And it
terrible.
is not a commodity, it is not a toy, it
Yeah.
is a human life. So I just sometimes hope that, I don't know, is it the looks? But honestly, I don't understand. There's a very differentiation in the looks as well. But just because even if you see so many advertisements, whether it is pedigree, whether it is rules, they have you know um all those breed dogs. I mean, all those for example, Labradors, Golden Retrievers, as their emblems or whatever, as the dogs
Yeah.
in the picture. All of these things need to stop. If if you're in India, and if you just shoot, I mean photograph the dogs which are on the streets and post them, it'll be like a
Yes.
step one. Why not do that? If we go to sometimes so many vets, they have, you know, all the foreign breeds pictures on their walls and everything.
Right,
Why
right,
is
yeah,
that, like a status symbol that we breed these dogs? That is not the case. The whole
right,
thing, the whole mindset needs to change, and that will take time. But it is all about awareness. It is literally all about awareness. And
yeah,
honestly, when you rescue a dog, the dog
yeah,
also gets to know that he or she has been rescued. It is literally in their eyes, and that bond is something which is very different.
yeah. I totally relate to that. Like, I have also experienced few times, and it's like so difficult to run after people saying that please like show some kind of carefulness or sensitivity towards these animals, but it's so much enriching to see people coming up like all of their own and putting their efforts to save animal and actually listen to what they can say and yeah converse.
Yes, very
Yes.
true.
Yeah. So, Sana, what are the future plans for your NGO? Can you give some tips on how to encourage volunteers regarding this matter?
So the thing is to grow bigger and bigger. That is one thing. And how can we go bigger and bigger? It is through the volunteers, because, like I said, we have like only one body, and that which can't be everywhere.
Yes.
So we don't have volunteers as of now, because we're
Yeah.
still trying to figure out how the whole thing has to work, because more people, more dogs means more dog food, more resources and everything. So we kind of
Yeah.
have to work that out, like money wise as well, and a lot of things. So we're still figuring that part out. But like I said, we have grown gradually. So we're
Yeah.
still growing gradually. I mean, we started with 11 dogs, now we're at 120. And so we have thought about that we would be probably by winters, when the time is, when we have to make the dogs wear the dog coats, and we have to make
Yeah.
those shelters where they can be warm. So we have thought about that is the time when we would want the volunteers, so that there could be dogs with dog coats and a lot of things where the dogs get warm food. So we're still planning
Yeah.
out, the planning out phase is going on for the volunteers. But I'm sure that when we put out an appeal for volunteers, and as well our whole community will help us in sharing it, so that we just
Yeah.
find more people to help us, because it is we are dependent on the people after all,
Yeah.
because
Totally.
it's their support that keeps us going sometimes. And we have a very mentally exhausting day, where we see probably a dog not recovering, or when we just have something that is we see something that is really disturbing. It is the messages that we get from our own community. Sometimes
Right.
I get messages on Instagram, when people just tell me that they get really overwhelmed by the work they see, or
Yeah.
sometimes just the message you or something like that, that just
Yeah.
makes our day. you
Yeah.
know so that is just sometimes what keeps us going, and that is the future plan. One, to grow, to have
Yeah.
volunteers, to grow, I mean, to get to a bigger scale. And the second is to
Yeah.
make people more sensitive to the whole idea of animals, to even if the people do their minimum, just keep a food bowl outside, a water
Yes.
bowl outside, and just put food, and food that they eat, for example, milk or bread or chicken or anything, not dal roti sabzi,
Yeah.
because that's just waste of food and it will just rot there, or something that is
Yes.
really really eat. So
Eat and
that
that is providing at least minimum nutrition to them.
exactly.
Yeah.
If people could even do the bare minimum, the whole
Yeah.
percentage of the rescues that we do every single day would drastically increase.
Yeah, even when we are talking about people doing tiny bits while helping you, there was a incident when people like we could not reach a particular place to rescue animals.
Hmm.
There was a stray dog, I guess, or a cat. I don't remember exactly. That's been so long. And actually, that person who called us, he mentioned that don't worry if you cannot be here. I'll take that pet with me and I'll take care of him. And whenever it is possible on your part, please come and visit us. It was so like the most wonderful thing to hear.
Right. I mean, that is just, and it is not something that you see very often.
Yes, and that
That's
is what we are hoping to build.
very true because
Yeah,
you see people making efforts and being there for you for the dog. It is just so overwhelming. So overwhelming.
yeah. Um, Sana, like a very personal question from me, like about your walk. What is the best thing you love?
So, I think the whole idea of, sleeping while thinking that when in the morning I'll get to see my dogs. That is literally the best part. Because the whole day, so much of work. You know, with your family, with your career, with dogs and everything. But when you go to sleep, it's like the whole world shuts, and you just have
Yes,
one. You know,
yeah,
you wake up in the morning, and after the sun rises, you're going to I
yeah,
my dogs' faces, and that is literally the because when I see those wagging tails coming to me, when I see
yes,
them running towards me, with like they always wait for their breakfast in bed. When
yeah,
I'm all ready and freshened up, they're yawning, they're stretching. That now
yes,
the sight of them being just happy, because when I get when I probably travel places, I sometimes get to see so many dogs that are suffering from this, and I just always hope that probably I just get paranoid sometimes from going to different places because I'm just going to see so many more dogs which I would
yes,
only do so much. So
yeah,
thought of just seeing dogs happy, of them getting love, food, and getting pampered is the best thing every morning.
yes.
That is the best.
Very true. Yeah, and even if people can just look at those like glittering eyes when we go to food stalls, they would be just sitting there, not asking or not pleading, not saying anything. They'll be just waiting for us to buy
Like,
something for them and put it down. Yeah.
you know, this has been, sometimes I feel so guilty for eating food because
Yes.
they are seeing, and sometimes, probably I'm not eating, but when I see people, just eating their food and the dog is looking, I'm like, give just one piece. It's like me talking to myself. And a lot of times I go to the shop, particular owner or the waiters or whatever, that if there's any
Yeah.
leftover food, or if you could, I'm just paying you whatever, if you could just give some part of it. And when I see them giving it to the dog, and the dog is like,
Yeah.
something that is very unbelievable for the dog because it is not something normal. And my heart
Yes.
skips a beat when I see that because it's seeing the dog so happy just with the sight of food, just this much
Yes.
to make them that much happy.
Yeah, and also we know that dogs are not so fond of feeding on vegetables. But
Yeah.
once I have like seen that there is a vendor nearby. So what he does is he once he close everything up after finishing his day, he selects few vegetables, cut them into pieces, and the same plate where he used to have lunch or some snacks, he would put all of them over there and then put it on the street for those animals. It's so loving. Yeah.
I, I
And
mean,
those vegetables are like selected and picked out from the human only. They don't take it with them for their to their home. So this is the best way he utilizes that.
this is so beautiful. I mean, this is so
Yeah.
touching. And if you see, there are people who who have less. They are the people who would give more.
Yes.
Hannah, those small shopkeepers, the people, who are just riding the bicycle, throwing out newspapers, or giving out, like, this is something, those are the actual people who are ready to actually do so much for the dogs. Those are the
Yes.
people, I think the mothers, fathers of the dogs on the street.
Yes. And that should be the level of judging a humanity that
Absolutely.
I personally feel. Yeah.
I think that is, it's not about you feeling that personally, that actually.
Yes. Yeah. It's like we know that we can purchase things, we can say whatever we want, we can buy ourselves stuff, but what about those tiny creatures who really need us? That
Absolutely.
is where the time comes. Yeah.
Exactly. That is exactly.
Yeah. And Sana, like any achievements which you are really proud of till date?
So I think one achievement that probably I would talk about is firstly with me regarding a person that I have become. I was a person that was probably literally, spoiled in the sense I would get up late, I won't do my own chores, and and now I never thought I would have those motherly instincts in me. I don't
Yeah.
know if I
That
became.
nurturing thing that comes. Yeah.
I don't myself in that, you know, I when I would actually become a mother of so many babies out there, and I was a person who was probably scared of needles, and probably I'll be like, I don't want to sit on the road, I'll just get dirty. And now I'm a person who was literally, all filled up with paw prints and dog hair and dogs climbing over me, and I'm sitting on the road alti palti, and dogs climbing over me, and
Yeah.
that was my best part of the day. I was scared of needles. Now I am just happy that I have learned how to vaccinate. I have learned how to worm, because I cannot always put on the bed. I carry that small little kit myself and sometimes vaccinate dogs on my own.
Yeah.
That is something that I feel is a very personal achievement. A person that I was,
Right.
and now I, just because of dogs. Dogs have taught me so much about, resilience, about becoming the whole a whole person, and what happiness actually looks like. Something This is
Right.
something biggest achievement what dogs have taught me.
Yeah. Totally. I can feel you completely. The things you are saying and the prints on your clothes that are the wholesome love that we need.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. And Sana, before closing, like, what would you like to suggest to our audience who are watching us right now?
So I say that, I know all of you are humans, but only for one day become a dog and look at yourself from a dog's eye. Just, you know,
Yeah, that perspective we should build. Yeah.
because imagine you are a stranger on the road, and sometimes a dog just comes to you without any knowledge, and say, why, what energy or what body language or what are you giving to that dog that he's coming towards?
Yes.
Only if you think from the perspective of a dog, or you just see from the eyes of a dog, you would get to know, and that is how you would become sensitive enough and broaden your perspective. So just see yourself from the eyes of a dog for one day, and I'm sure you're gonna change your life.
Yes. Totally. And Sana, I'm taking just 2-3 seconds to scroll out through messages to see if there are any questions
Absolutely.
people are asking.
Yes. So guys, if you have any questions, you could either post it on the live session right now, or you can anytime
Yeah.
or her regarding anything, because I'm sure that
Yes.
there'll be many people who are not watching the live right now. They would
Yeah.
probably later on the once you post the recording or something, you could
Yes.
probably post the questions in the comment section.
Yes. Totally. I'll be saving the live session for you guys. So, as I've already mentioned, you can reach out to Pause and Puddle, and Sana with her team will be there to help you out. And let's just make changes from our side. You know, that wouldn't take much effort, and it's just our part to do it. So, yeah, we can do it. So let's get ahead with ourselves and encourage other people as well, our friends, our family. Yeah, as Sana mentioned that through social media, we can share our experiences. So yeah, that would be really great.
Yes.
Yeah. So there are no questions right now, Sana.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So thank you so much for sharing your experience with us, and it was a lovely like it's a part of my day that was so beautiful after talking to you about these creatures. And yeah, someone is asking at what time should we feed strays? Uh, yeah,
Anytime. You
yes,
just feed them. But if you're already and if you're asking for like a good time, the best time is the morning because that is when and they need the whole energy for their day. So if
yes,
you just give them, like a lump sum amount of food, that is honestly enough for the whole day. I'm not saying like totally enough, but that is enough to make them all energized to survive the day.
yes,
Best part,
yeah. Even there are days when they don't get to eat anything at all.
exactly.
So yeah, if you
But
are
if
making
morning doesn't mean you can't feed them. You can just feed them
right,
anytime. Really
yes, yes.
anytime.
If you're making 5 to 6 rotis for ourselves, we can just prepare one or two for them, and we can feed them with that.
Yes,
They'll be more than happy,
yes.
and they'll return back on the same time, and you won't have to worry about anything. They'll be just there at your doorstep to
Yes,
eat.
there's so much love in their heart that it's never enough for them to even give. They can just give and give and give and give and give. It is infinite.
Yeah. I think that was the only question we had, Sana. Once again, thank you. I'm really humbled to talk to you.
Likewise.
Um, I wish you all the best, and you're doing really, really amazing. And I hope we kind of created some kind of awareness among people, and
Fingers
we march
crossed.
towards that. Yes, hopefully. Yeah, so take care and bye everyone. If you want to reach out to her, please don't worry about anything. Just go through her profile, pause and puddle, and if you have any kind of question, you can drop it after I post the live session.
All right.
Thank
Thank
you so
you
much.
guys for being here, and thank you to for hosting this session and creating more awareness on this platform. Really means a lot.
Oh, I'm like, it's my pleasure, and I'm so happy after talking to you with this.
Same, exactly the
Yeah.
same feeling.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Bye bye. Take care.
Bye bye.
Bye.